pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, which art in heaven, dear Lord God, it's once again that we come humbly before your throne of grace to give you thanks for your dear Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and for all of your many blessings bestowed upon the city of Dillon. Dear Lord God, we ask that you continuously bless our Mayor Pro Tem, our City Council, our City Manager, our City Attorney, and all the department heads on tonight as we gather together to make the decisions for the betterment of all the citizens of Dillon. We pray that in everything we do, we be careful to give your name the glory, your name the honor, and your name the praise. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Peter. Can I get an approval of the agenda? And I think that does include an executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Approval of the minutes for March 14th.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. I'll make mine brief. I did put a little article in the paper about the state of Dillon. Reading the article back, Dillon's not utopia, but it's close. It's close for me. I love this place. We've got a lot of issues that we have, and we're working on. Our part, we're doing our part. I think we're making strides, and I'm thankful for all of you that work so hard to make this a good place to live. Lisa had a chat and chew and chat and chew.
Chat and chew.
And that was Thursday night. Y'all need to show up to those things. You really get an idea of who lives in Dillon. People I had no clue, and it's just. I met a doctor that her husband is an attorney in London, but he practices here, and there's so many neat people that if you stay in your little realm of influence, that you'll never meet these people. And this is a great opportunity. I thought it was real well attended. The Downtown Festival is the 30th. That is a great time, and I'm sorry to say that I'm not going to be able to be there. I'm going to be on I'm working on a spiritual walk that weekend, so I can't be there. But unless one of y'all want to do the welcoming, and I'll open that up to you. Lisa said she would do it, but if one of y'all won't do it, then I'll leave that. Anybody got the urge?
Can I add, Mayor Wallace, that it's at 10 o'clock in the morning on the 30th?
Yes.
It'll just be a few moments on stage welcoming the crowd.
Yeah.
Lisa, you got that one?
She'll do a great job. She's got great energy. We've met with the Downtown Revitalization, had another meeting, and I think Glenn's frustrated that we're not moving anywhere, but I've always looked at this downtown committee, or we answer to the council. But this is not a one or two meeting group. I think this is a group that probably is going to meet on and on. And I think we are making moves, and we got some things to go over tonight that I think we're moving in the right direction. We're trying to best set up Dillon for success. We acknowledge there are a lot of things that need to be fixed. And if we can make downtown as pretty as we can with the least amount of investment that we can, then we might come to that end. Anyway, that's about me. Glenn?
I'll just follow up revitalization or downtown community. And I'm going to ask Betsy, because she's my Freedom of Information Act person. if I can get council to meet as a group to walk down Main Street,
You're having a meeting.
we're having a meeting, and you'll be there.
I'll be there.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, and what I'd like to do, we've been talking about planters and trees and things of that nature, and Dr. Wallace made a comment, I'm getting frustrated. I just feel like we're not moving, fast enough in some things, but, we also know that there's 6 different opinions sitting here. So I suggested at our meeting that maybe as a group, council can meet, we advertise, and just walk Main Street and look at some things. And if that's something y'all
Couple
interested
blocks.
in, yeah.
Really, is it before the workshop that you have with the building owners, or you want to do?
Oh, this would be a different time. This would be a different
We're
time.
gonna go back to the courthouse next time, or.
Well, we're having got
Talk
to,
about
but
that.
don't get this confused with what I'm talking about, okay?
No, I'm not, I'm just saying, do you want to make the walk before you have your meeting with these?
Well, I think that needs to be 2 separate things.
Okay.
2 separate things. But this is not, this is what he's talking about, put on your table, there. This is not a council meeting workshop.
No.
This is just something that code enforcement is doing along with downtown development. But if we can schedule a time sometime at the end of this month.
Before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Which
we're
meeting?
saying. Our next council
Oh,
meeting
yes.
will be, if we
Will
vote to
be
do
at-
it back at the courthouse, then we can just show up 30 minutes early.
That's true.
Walk downtown and look at the different trees and see what we want to do.
Can we, I have a lot going on.
Well,
Do we have to give you an answer tonight?
well, let's just schedule it for our regular council meeting.
Okay.
And do it, and let's do it 45 minutes prior to, how about that, 6:15? And then, we can kind of go from there. Is that good with you, Betsy?
What's the next meeting date? What's that?
Whatever the second, Monday, let's see here. That would be May 9th.
Okay.
So, May 9th. 6:15.
Okay.
And we'll meet at City Hall. And then,
10.
and then with that, Dr. Wallace brought up about going back to meeting at City Hall. Y'all want to vote on that, or that's just something you want to do, or anybody against it? We will need to vote on it.
I mean, I enjoy being out here, it's closer to me, but, it's a lot more to set up.
It is. So we'll go back to City Hall for the May meeting. You got that, Betsy?
Got it.
All right, on your table, and I mentioned this last month, if I'm not mistaken, you'll see an advertisement that Lisa and Benny has come up with. I think, Lisa, you sent this already out to all the property owners?
I've mailed it twice, and I've gone to every single building that's got an occupant and given them the handout twice also.
And the newspaper.
Certified liquor, was it a certified?
Not this one, certified. And this is also going to be in the newspaper Thursday of this week and Tuesday of next week. And all this is a time for property owners to come in, meet with Benny and Lisa, to find out what they can do or cannot do in their building. Question and answers, that's pretty much what it is. One of the things that I have seen, and Benny has run across when people are trying to renovate their building, is the process that they have to go through. And if they don't understand the process, it's very difficult, especially if they don't go out and hire contractors to do all these steps. They do that in the back. So hopefully we're going to try to educate them, the steps of getting permits, about getting contractors. If you run into a building that you're doing heavy renovations in and or changing what's being done in that building as far as retail space to a restaurant, there's some other things you got to look at, fire and safety things. So this is just a time for them to come in. Hopefully people will show up and get some questions answered that they may or may not
Sometimes
have.
your bar counters some of your code enforcement, and that makes it difficult.
The bar architectural review, yes. Because there's certain things that they still have to follow to be approved through them.
We we've run into that with our building, you know, try to maintain the aesthetic value of it, the historic value, at the same time, comply with the code enforcement. Sometimes it's complicated.
And then last month, I brought to you the information from the South Carolina Physical Affairs on redistricting. I talked about getting a meeting set up with those folks sometime this month. When I got back to the office after our last meeting, I called, they said they wouldn't do anything until mid to late summer, is when they can come here. They know our time frame as far as when our elections are and when we have our books open. So everything should be done by the end of this end of this calendar year. But they'll be here sometime mid to late summer. Budget, beginning to work on a budget. I've got 2 days scheduled here. If you're interested, we can do these workshops on May 23rd and May 26th. I'll send something out here the next week or so, because I know there's a lot of different things going on this time of year to check your calendars for those. And if there's need to be a change, we can change that at our meeting in May. Stormwater grants, you know, we were awarded back in late fall or December, $3.8 million in stormwater grants through the state. Janet and I met with the state folks 2 weeks ago. They will handle everything as far as the project goes, meaning they will handle all the video of the project. They will pay all contractors. They will select and pay the engineer for their job that they do. So all we'll do is get what they finish. Nothing runs through us. And you know, it'll be the 3 that was our top priority. Hopefully they'll pick the engineers that did this, but it doesn't mean that they will. They may pick another engineer, but they'll handle everything. We don't have to do anything.
So when do you expect that work to start?
Moving dirt, probably a year from now.
A year from now?
Yeah. Probably a year from now. But they're going to have, whoever they select as an engineer, they will have to design whatever they'll do and then get it out. I look for
Now, is it complete one project and go to the next?
I'm hoping, and we talked about doing all 3 together.
Okay.
And whether they can do that or not, who knows? But that's all they're equipped.
Here,
Yeah. And they want to, the county also got a grant. They want to try to tie theirs into this one as well, so they can do the projects all together. So that way they can select an engineer for both of us and contractors for both of us. But it's probably at least a year before they move there. Right. And they've got until 2024, spring of 2024 to be complete. That's all I have at this time.
okay. All right, financial report. Janet?
All right. General fund, I'm just gonna make it short for y'all since it's got it in front of you.
Yes.
Our total cash accounts is $2,302,602. Our revenues, came in $292,960 more in 21 than in 22, and that's the timing of some of the revenues. Our expenditures is $168,325 more in 22 than 21. And that did exclude the garbage truck. I hadn't included that in there.
It says not included.
Not included in.
What was big, I mean, why are we that far?
Well, it's different departments. You've got, and I'll look back over them. You've
We got
got,
bad last month. I don't remember us being that bad last month.
I'll have to go back
But
and look at it.
you're matching up month to
The month,
for a year,
yeah.
not
Right, I know.
not after 9 months.
But it would, I mean, to be for sure, go ahead.
Anyway, we have capital expenditures in this 22 that we didn't have in 21. We had 2 new hires that, for salaries that we didn't have then. And just little things like that come up, major things that come up like that. Okay. All right, water and sewer. Our total restricted and unrestricted is $4,209,077. We In our collections of revenues, we brought in $317,681 more in '22 than '21. Our expenses were $35,963 more in '22 than in '21. Okay, our golf course, our cash account, $6,337. Our revenues, we brought in $7,360 more in '22 than in '21. And we transferred $30,000 to date. In Dillon County, we got our $50,000 in there, so that wasn't included in there. Okay, our expenses was $62,175 more in '21 than in '22 on the golf course. And that was due to equipment stuff, motors. 2% hospitality funds, we have a total of $967,480 in the accounts. We brought in $41,241 more in '22 than in '21.
If you extrapolate that out, it's $700,000 a year. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we budgeted for this year 650.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the stormwater, of course, the cash account's $150,527, but that's due to the funds that general fund had loaned in that. We brought in $2,254 more in '21 than we have in '22. We have spent $38,887 more in '22 than in '21. The American Rescue Plan, we've got $1,343,204 in it. And that's it.
As we approach the budget for the upcoming year, we need to look at it from a standpoint of 10%, 8% inflation, not our, 2-3% CPI. We just have to be careful. We don't want to get to this point next year and say, boy, we underestimated how much expenses were. So just a
One of the biggest ones we'll have to look at is fuel.
fuel, yeah.
Yeah.
The last time we bought fuel, I guess was a month and a half, 2 months ago, and we paid $3.20, I think, per gallon at that time. We probably should find some here in the next, couple of weeks or so, so we'll have an idea then. But that's when fuel was overriding, now it's putting it back down to something pretty.
It's $240,000 for the process of being reimbursed for the mitigation. So how much money do we get reimbursed back?
240,000.
So if we get 240,000, we're taking off that 15,000, we're showing the negative, and then we'll be positive $200-something thousand.
It was negative in what, stormwater?
Yeah.
Right. We took 240 out of the general fund to put in stormwater. When we get back, that money goes back to the general
Yes,
fund.
that goes back.
So we should be looking real good. When do you think we get that money back?
We're in the process of trying to get it,
I hope before the end of this budget year.
because we applied for things, is it federal and state?
Federal and state money.
So it's two different entities, we have to apply to get a certain amount of commitment.
Because we're looking to have a surplus then.
Good, very well. Good, very well. Because remember now, I think this was the last year of, let me look again, make sure, I don't want to tell you wrong. Yeah, we just
So
paid.
we just paid,
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't have to back the truck payment anymore.
and we're bringing in 11,000.
We have 150,000 in there, we spend what monthly? We spend roughly about 8,000 on the
96,000 a year.
Yeah, we should be back where we were having more revenue than expense.
While we're talking about this quick line, the purchase orders we got here. Now, the stuff you're buying now was out of last year's budget, correct? For the 2 police cars, the radar.
No, it's in this budget. The budget that we have, the budget we're in right now, we just have not received those cars yet.
when you expect them to come?
Hopefully by the end of May. And that's just equipment for those cars, correct?
Have we asked the members of the Wellness Center what kind of new equipment they'd like to have in the Wellness Center?
Not sure.
There's a committee that used to be before COVID, maybe we ought to reactivate that committee. They were to give us suggestions.
Yeah, they came up with, right before COVID, a little over $100,000 at that time.
Yeah.
For replacing some equipment.
I think we need to look at that since we got the money in the hospitality, you know, if you want to get the committee back started to get some new equipment in here. And the rubber padding, I think that was a good idea you had.
In the hallway?
Yeah.
Okay. That is it?
All right. Downtown revitalization, Lisa, who, way back there.
Not stand up. Councilman Eller, last meeting that I attended, you asked about grants that I was in the process of working on, so we're going to start with that right now. I'm in the middle of three. The first is with the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. It's the Project Safe Neighborhood, otherwise known as PSN. There's no match for the grant that pays 100%. We're asking for funding for a police officer, a vehicle, a canine, police dog, and a kennel for him as well. Total project should cost about $167,000. Deadline is May 13th, and the application should actually be ready to submit by this Thursday. The deadline was supposed to be this Friday, but they changed it and pushed it back a little bit, but I'm pretty much done with that one. I'm also working with the Duke Energy Foundation for the South Carolina Emergency Preparedness Storm Resiliency Grants. This particular one we've called the City of Dillon Emergency Preparedness Storm Resiliency two-way radio for the police department. We've asked for 14 radios and then a drone program project for the fire department. The amount we need for the total project is $20,770. The max that we can request is $20,000. Deadline for that is April 29th, and that's already been submitted. And then an ongoing one that I've been working on is the USDA Community Facilities Grant. This will be used for the renovations of the police department inside. We can't use it for what they call real estate, but it can be used for supplies, desks, computers, cameras, equipment that would be used inside. So it's a maximum of $50,000, and that's based on the overall construction cost that it'll cost to renovate the building, median household income of the population. There is no deadline for that particular grant, but I do expect to have it submitted by the end of April, the very first week of May. I am waiting for some information regarding what the cost of the whole full construction project is going to be, and then I'll be able to submit that then. So I am working on those three grants, and one has been submitted. Upcoming special events, we've already talked about the code enforcement workshop on Tuesday the 19th. You asked if I sent the information registry mail. I have not, but we've not received any of them back in the mail as undeliverable. So I believe that the addresses that I have currently are at least the correct ones for the building owners, and I have gone to all the buildings as well and talked to them about it. Celebrate Maine, we've already talked about that. It's Saturday, April 30th. The hoopla is going to go from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. Posting of the color starts with invocation, national anthem, and a welcome by me, obviously. Car show from 10 to 4. I do believe this will be the last year's car show that they'll be hosting, unfortunately. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with what they've done in the past. But we'll revisit that with the car show committee during the event.
Can you elaborate on that more as far as what the cars are not wanting to?
I
part of it?
think it's more the volunteers.
The volunteers. Yeah. Johnny Lures is really dealing with most of that as part of her checklist, but we did receive a letter stating that this will probably be their last year. We have a plethora of different entertainers from the community that will be performing throughout the day. Of course, we have Danny. The executives will be playing from 7 to 8, and then the chairman of the board will be from 8:30 to 10 or so. So we'll see how long it goes, but we are planning on cutting it down at about 10 o'clock. It is my first year doing the event. I've seen pictures, I've talked to people. I love great big festivals, so I'm really looking forward to being a part of this one. Dillon Community Alliance, their first Fridays at the Fountain will be beginning on May 6th. I'm excited about this one as well. Level 10 will be the first band that they have, and they start at 7 o'clock. Chamber of Commerce Farmers Market will be beginning in May also, so things are starting to amp back up again for the summer season. And they'll run from May through October, and that's the second Monday of each month. I am starting to work with one of our local wellness coaches to possibly provide some sort of boot camp or exercise program at the South Plaza. I think it'd be great for people to see other people out there exercising and, you know, working out a little bit. So I'd like to try to get something out there. The Dillon Historic School Foundation hosted the Comedy Extravaganza on Friday, April 1st. It was a great show. I have been to every one of their shows this year, and I must recommend that you participate and do the ones that they have coming up. They're fun. I mean, the children really enjoy the magic. He was kind of, you know, really out there, but the juggler is fabulous. All the music has been great, and I am looking forward to the May 28th event because they're actually doing a dinner theater at Lockney Courtyard prior to the Tony Lee group coming to sing for us. So tickets are $50. You get those from Gerald. They're very excited. I'm going to be on the committee to kind of help them out for that night. I might be waitering. I might be doing whatever. But it's May 28th. Tickets are $50 for a dinner. It'll be catered by Breaking Bread, and then you have your ticket to the theater too. So they really have done a great job with the performances they've hired for us. So please try to help them out if you can and go. What's going on in downtown? We've got a couple new businesses. The Hall of Queens Beauty Salon is open, and that's at 104 West Main. And then right next door in the middle, eventually, very soon, it's going to be a juice bar. One of our local members of the community is going to be opening that up. She's still in the planning stages of it, but we can look forward to a juice bar right across the street from my office. I'm very excited. And that'll be at 102 West Main. Meredith and her husband Daniel are busy renovating the building at 115 West Main Street. The inside has been gutted. They're starting to work with Benny now on permitting and for the electrical and things we'll be going through with that. They will be using a facade grant or putting in an application for a facade grant to work on the outside of their building as well. Robbie Owens has just purchased the building at 214 West Main Street. That's the Dillon Continuing Education, I believe it's called. And he'll be using the facade grant program. We're applying for that as well in the future. Although he's just on the outside of historic downtown, David has opened Woodman Life, which is Woodman of the World, and his location is right across from KJ's. What is that? Is that 4th, I believe? What's that? Fifth Avenue. So I want to welcome David to Woodman Life. He's there. His ribbon cutting has been this month. And then the Dillon Insurance Agency has relocated to the 10 South North Railroad Avenue. When I stopped by, I met the ladies today, and so I wanted to welcome both of them to our downtown neighborhood. Trainings, what am I doing? I'm heading to the South Carolina Department of Archives and History Foundation 2022 Historic Preservation Conference, and that'll be on April 22nd. This conference features a wide range of topics in South Carolina history, historic properties, and current preservation issues. More information on that later. Main Street, South Carolina, Grow Your Own Storytellers Workshop. Now this is kind of neat because you go into one of the businesses and you do a story on how they got started, who they are, what the businesses that they've got, and you Facebook it and you put it out there on social media. But there's a certain format that you use, and Main Street of South Carolina will train us on how to do this to get the most posts and shares and all that kind of stuff. But it'll be storytelling about our business owners in place-focused marketing. So they're in place and we're focusing on them and we're marketing them. And we are doing our April's podcast. If you don't know it, we're doing live podcast now once a month with the help of Zeb and his studio there, which is great. What our downtown has to offer will be our next podcast. We'll be on Friday, April 29th from 12:30 to 1. We went a little long last time, so we're going to keep it to the 30 minutes. We had a lot to talk about, didn't we? But we'll have several business owners with us. Johnny Moores will be there from the chamber, and at least one DCA member will be with us, and you're welcome to join us if you'd like to. When we did the Small Business Expo, I heard many times, I didn't know we had this in Dillon, I didn't know that was here. So it's kind of prompted me to, I'd like to have like a drone shot of everything coming downtown and really give everybody an idea of exactly what we have downtown, where they're located, and some of the businesses can talk about what they have to offer. So it's all about downtown and what we're trying to do down there, and the great people that are sticking with it and staying with us. Questions?
I have a question. You said you were working on a grant for the police department for $167,000, and you said May 13th your deadline. When do you expect to hear if you've been awarded that grant?
Let's see if it's in the documentation here.
Wasn't it September? Was it in September?
I believe it was. Let me see. I believe I've got it here.
Did Kim helping her with the grant?
They may have pushed it back a little since they. Postmark dates. I'm sorry, it doesn't say
It's
in the
all right.
directions that I've
I
got.
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's okay, but I do believe Chief Lane is correct. It was in September, and it may be pushed back a little bit since they pushed the deadline back.
Okay.
That is how it is.
The other question I have for you is, you talked about the murals.
Yes.
Have you got any quotes on the murals or anything? I mean, it's a great idea. We talked about it in the past. But what I want to do to help you out, I'm going to get this council, get some money out of this hospitality fund, and go ahead and get the ball rolling. Because we're waiting around and we're not moving our feet, you know?
You've been to the Chat and Chew, we had the guy there that we're thinking about using, we could have met.
But she was talking
So
about getting some grants at one
there's
time.
two artists that I've met with, and I've met with Gene Berry, also with the bar as well. One gentleman, one artist, he's the one who did the Marion mural with the Marion words, and the murals painted within the letters. Narazi is his name, and he came and he displayed some of his artwork at the Chit Chat and Chew this last time, just so he can kind of be, introduced to the community. And we would like to get a quote from him, and I told him, I said, we need to get some drawings from you as soon as possible. And then Tommy Simpson is the gentleman that I've met, and I am actually meeting with him on Thursday. He's the artist that did the Conway trains, and I'd like to use him for maybe 2 or 3 other murals. There's a total of 4 that I'd like to put up in different areas. Of course, it has to be approved, and it's just ideas in my head right now. But funding, they typically are anywhere from $10 to $35 a square inch. So it just really depends, and Tommy should have some renditions for me when he comes to meet with me, and hopefully I'll be able to present this very soon. I mean, I'd like to, $100,000 would be great.
I mean, my thing
Don't get me
is, it just
wrong.
enhances your uptown tremendously.
Oh, it would. It's important, I think, that our community sees things in action. And if they see murals being painted, I think it would entice and excite people to say, oh, look, they are getting something done. Things may be moving slowly, but slow is better than nothing. And so we are certainly working on that. And I'm excited about being able to present these ideas very soon.
If you get the opportunity, if you can try to get some quotes from these next,
Oh, I will.
give them to Glenn.
We also got to find the location where you're going to get approval.
She had 4 different sites you were thinking
But
about.
We got to get approval for the
Yeah.
property.
Okay.
If anybody knows how to get a hold of the Family Dollar people, let me know. Because their building is the most perfect location, right? When you're coming in on the train, that's the building we'd like to put the train mural on.
I think Mr. Jim, I can help you with that.
Yeah, I have called, I have emailed and everything, so, yes, we've got some locations picked out that just all have to be approved and prepped and that kind of thing. And figure out what types of artistic material we're gonna use. Are we gonna put them on metal sheetings that can be moved around, which is kind of what Lawrence does? That way the walls themselves don't have to be updated or renovated quite as much. So that might be a little more cost effective to do it that way. It just depends on the artist also.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Citizens report. Anybody want to speak? Old business, I got a job.
Nothing.
All right. New business. The farmer's market request now.
I was hoping they were going to be here.
Yeah, help me with this a little bit.
All right, this
Well,
is,
let me ask you, they came to us and wanted some land, and now they're coming to us, want $200,000 too?
that's what I was saying. So I sent an email back and had not
What
heard
the hell
back.
all that money?
Well, my question was just that. Give me a budget for $200,000. What are you going to do with this $200,000? I haven't heard anything back. I was trying to get out today to measure the property to see where 160 by 90 would fit, which is approximately half of the property, give or take. You know, I don't think we have a problem providing water, sewer, taps.
160 by 90 wouldn't be half, I don't think.
Well, it's 300 feet
I don't think it'd be close.
from Harrison, from First Avenue to Railroad Avenue. That block, that's 300 feet.
That's great, okay.
Yeah. And then 90 feet, it's probably wider than 90 feet from
Yeah.
Hampton Street to the alley.
Right.
So we fit in there.
Yeah, about a third of it.
About a third. I don't think, and I want to go and mark it out just to have a visual.
Right.
I don't think we have an issue about providing water sewer taps. Maintenance of the established grounds, I don't think we have a problem. Don't know that we have a problem paying into utilities, which water sewer would be ours, electricity, we probably would pay that. The use of the restrooms and the community room, what we're looking to do with the downtown development office, you know, don't have a problem. Include farmers market building on city insurance policy. I don't know that we could do that unless we own it.
Unless we own it, we can't.
So, yeah, that'd be something we would have to work out there.
If we're doing it on our land and we're building the building, why don't we own it?
We should own it.
Just let them
When did you
run.
get this, Glenn? When did you get it?
Thursday, I think it was.
Thursday, this past week?
This past week.
Because I asked Ms. Pat how much money they had secured, and, you know, I asked her how much she was asking for this council for water to build the building. My thing is, we don't have any quotes on what it would cost for them to build a building.
And again, that's what I emailed back to you. Yeah, last week, late last week, give me a budget, what's going to do with 200,000, how this is going to be spent. And all this brought up was 2 weeks ago, I emailed her or texted her one and said, hey, give me a proposal from you, or from y'all's group, so we can start working on this. And this is what I got.
You think we can ask Ms. Pat to come back? Sure. Speak to the council?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just my take, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I would think, again, somewhere down, you know, for us to cover on our insurance, and I think Janet will build a check for it, but I think we have to own it.
We do. We have to own it and get it.
So we're just gonna ask her to come back.
Yeah, and I just, you know, I was hoping someone would be here, but this is for your information, you know, this is a starting point on what the city may or may not be interested in doing.
American Rescue Plan recommendations, now we're gonna make those decisions.
Well, you know, I've got a resolution for some, but we're getting, there's some things that I'd like to see us do, and we can use this money to do it. You know, we have talked about a stage for downtown, we've talked about splash pad. You know, I'd like to do some of these things, you know, as quickly as possible in this budget year. And then in the coming budget year, you know, we can use these monies as some of our budgeted items. If that's what y'all want to do as far as state and grants and or renovations of those 2 buildings we own and other things that I gave recommendations on, if that's what you want to do. But I'd like to go ahead and end some things if that's something y'all want to.
My thing is, the first bank building, I don't know how long they've been going. How long in the first bank building have they been?
Over a year.
Over a year. I would like to see us start working on this building, get a contractor, get a bid, whatever we need to do.
Well, I've
So the police department can look
I've
down.
advertised this month, or the end of March, they're due the end of April, a request for proposals.
Okay.
And in that request was, we've got $450,000 between the 2 buildings, give or take, that we want to spend to renovate these buildings. So design build group will come in and present us something, and then we can work downward, I guess. But I won't have that information until the end of April.
And I think there's certain things on that list that I think all of us feel good about, the First Bank building being one of them, and I think the lights, I think most of us are pretty excited about fixing up the ball fields and using some money there. I just had a thought, this isn't the venue for this, but what if we backed that, building up to the alley where they could go in behind it and then have that in front of it and put our stage on top of it.
I don't, I can't see what you're talking
All
about.
right, well, that's, like I say, it's not an opinion, but it's just a thought about that. But maybe we could start passing some of these things individually. We don't have to do them all.
No, that's right, you don't. You absolutely do not.
But going back to the stage, are you trying to eventually, because uptown in the main fest, you have the stage and all the entertainment up at the courthouse, per se. Are you trying to move it down to the south level?
Well,
You build your
yeah,
stage? Is that what you're trying to do?
that's what we're trying to do. And you know, the portable stage that we normally rent for Celebrate May, I don't know, it'll be here next week, because he's bringing it early to us, and then it'll come back to the festival. But I want to take the measurements and see if it would fit in the South Plaza area. But as I asked him on the phone, though, then what would a brand new one, and I think you've seen it, I think most of you have seen this stage. A brand new one, he said, runs anywhere from $100,000 to $120,000. But a used one, $100,000 to $120,000. A used one's anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000, and you can get what you pay for it. But it's just something that I'd like to move forward with, you know, in time. You know, and I know there's something that we need to talk about and get prices on, but, you know, just,
When are you gonna bring, I mean, I know this is new business, but there's not anything formal
no,
that you're
no,
bringing
no,
tonight.
just for discussion and get some feedback.
Yeah. We've had one, haven't we had one, meeting about that, haven't we? Haven't we been?
ARP money?
ARP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do we need to have another one?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I just.
You ought to make that part of maybe one of our budget
It
workshops.
could be, it could be, it could be. Again, just trying to get the ball rolling and,
Right.
you know, we've got to.
Don't you think it'd be easier for you to do the light assessment, what you said down there?
I'm sorry?
When you think it'd be easier, when you said want to get the ball rolling, we want to see things happening. You said something about lighting, putting lighting around the parking lot around here, you know, fencing.
Yeah,
At least that would be,
Yeah.
I think that'd be easier for you to get going and
We can
somebody
get
see.
some cost estimates for that. That's correct. That's correct. I just want to bring it back to you and, you know, so we don't, not that we forget about it, but none of this stuff happens overnight. Ice, the storm drains. You know, it takes time. Renovating those two buildings, they're not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. So I just bring it back into your mindset. Oh, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, we talked about one of the recommendations, and this one I'd love to move as quickly as possible. It's, you know, changing our water meter system to where we can read differently than what we do. And we've got a quote right now of, and I'm rounding up, $500,000 to what we call touch one. Get out there, go with a little one, hit the meter and go. For another $500,000, we can ride by in a vehicle and it picks it up.
How much money did you allocate for that? I can't remember on the ARP.
I think it's right at $500,000 here at that point. But I'm also looking at some grants through CDBG that may can pick up the other half. But that'd be another process that will take time, but we'd like to get started.
What's your savings on that?
Well, a lot of savings is going to be manpower.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Because, you know, right now, we have two spots, only one spot is filled, and we use another one from another department to help us read meters. But they spend a lot more time going back and rechecking. Not saying that we wouldn't have to recheck in this process, but not as much. So
At least one spot.
yeah, at least one spot.
35,
And the benefits and all, you're probably talking 30,000 to 35,000 with benefits.
so you take 10 years.
Yeah, it will pay for itself.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
with these projects, can you go ahead and be getting bid for each project and bring them back and go ahead and try to get something
Well,
going?
like I said again, on the water meters, we've got a quote there, we'd have to get another one because of the cost estimate of it, but at least that gives us some idea. And that's gonna be a process if we said, company A is gonna do this, it's still gonna take time.
Well, I was
You know,
gonna
get
take
the
time.
parts
I
and
think
stuff like that.
I'll make that part of one of our
But,
budget workshops. All right.
It's been built.
Resolution number 05-22, fair housing resolution.
this is just an annual resolution to recognize that there needs to be fair housing everywhere throughout the United States. And the law was passed in the 1960s by Lyndon B. Johnson.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, resolution number 6-22, resolution to purchase a used residential garbage truck. Now, this is part of that.
That is part of that, and that is correct. There's two quotes in there, and I think I told you,
117, 119.
119.
Napa, one in California.
If I could ask some questions about this.
yes,
I looked at the invoice and everything. If we purchase this with ARP money, are your needs and wants really taken care of for this budget year?
That'd be a big need, but, you know, we have some smaller needs that, you know, we need.
Because normally you had like 300,000 roughly capital that we have to put in the budget year. So, I mean, that's gonna help you a lot.
I mean, it's gonna help us whether or not we had anything in the budget, because right now we've got a new truck that we've got to do maintenance on. We can't take it offline because we got nothing to pick up the truck.
And I'm fine with that. I just, my other thing is it possible or is this not even thought about? Is running two garbage trucks
I've thought about it, yes, sir.
in town to get, you know, called in?
I've thought about it.
Well, I don't know that we're behind.
Well, you're not really behind, I'm just thinking, we only have one that actually does the routes. So if you implemented this truck and another truck, I just think it would be a big help for the whole town.
Well, the only time that we do things like that is if there's a holiday that we have to double up and we're gonna miss a day. But on normal, and tell me if I'm wrong, Wednesdays is our longest day, and that may take 6-7 hours.
Monday.
Monday. Takes
Well, the
6-7
guy,
hours.
the guy I got on the truck now, knock on wood, he's really good. And he's, you know, doing a good job. He's, like Lynn said, he's doing, Monday's the longest route, he's done about 2 o'clock, the other days he's done about 12. And I'm able to use him to help me in other areas.
All right, can we get a motion?
Is it the same setup as the truck we got now?
Yeah, just a little smaller, isn't it?
No,
Or
it's
shorter.
It's almost like him.
Height-wise.
Yeah, the chassis is a little bit lower.
And this is the truck that our mechanic went to Tampa to look at about a month ago.
Yeah, you know, anytime you find something like that, you want, Jim, my mechanic, he drove to Florida one day and checked it out, drove it, checked everything to the best of his knowledge. The truck's been reconditioned, so, you know, we feel like it's a great car.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, ordinance number 22-02, amend Title 5, Chapter 1, a city code of ordinance to provide provisions for regulating vacant commercial and industrial buildings within the downtown historic district only, first reading. Now, we came last time with an ordinance that would be all buildings, and we talked last time about having either just downtown historic district, and what Glenn's done, and I think this is smart, you know, so we move forward, which we want to do, we're going to up or down one or the other one, or nothing at all. You know, I reckon we can do that, but we're going to either vote to do it citywide, or we're going to vote to do it downtown. And this is one of the recommendations that has come out of the Downtown Revitalization Committee. We're going to give people an opportunity to fix their building. We're going to give them funding if they want to fix their building. But if you don't get it fixed, and you think you're gonna sit on it and keep it vacant and have the roof cave in on it, and potentially put people in our town in danger, we're gonna penalize you. And that's what this ordinance does. It gives some bite to our revitalization of downtown. And that's what we want. I mean, my understanding, that's what we want to do. This isn't my ordinance, this is what we've agreed to try to do.
But what it all entails is, you're gonna register building, correct? I mean, I'm just trying to make sure tell us what it all entails.
You know, register, everybody that has a vacant building in town. And Benny and his staff will go out, as soon as this ordinance passes, if it passes, either one of them, will go out and start listing the buildings. We'll let the property owners know, hey, this ordinance passed after the second reading. You've got until, I think it's July 11th.
Yes, sir.
July 11th of this year, that's when registration will begin. And they have to register in their building if it's vacant. Give us information, and some of the information that they will give us is a building plan for this building. What is your plan for this vacant building? They will give us a timetable to identify when they will commence repairing or scheduling completion for the vacant building. Now, all that being said is, we may go to John Doe's vacant building, and there's nothing wrong. So they don't have to do anything, other than to register. That's all. And then in this ordinance is also a definition of a vacant building. As I rode around Thursday and Friday of last week trying to take account of vacant buildings, I had questions to myself, what is a vacant building? And I used what I'm gonna call the strip mall here on Bradford Boulevard, beside Murphy's. There's two spaces empty, or we consider those vacant buildings, and our definition is no, they're not vacant buildings, because they're over one building. There's property on Main Street that is one building that may have two or three doors to it that separate 2 or 3 spaces. If all of them are empty, it's a vacant building, but if one space is being used as a business like it should be, it's not considered a vacant building.
Who made that definition?
Penny? And also
Judges spoke.
So you're saying if there's multiple doors, then it's not?
well, if there's multiple doors that separates each space within that building.
And they all have a firewall between each.
Whether they won't all have firewalls. They'll just be separate buildings.
They're all under one roof,
Yeah.
but they're not individually separated. They're just rented out, units basically rented out within one building.
Thought we had to have a firewall.
Only if you got like mixed uses, you'll have to have a firewall between them. If you got, let's say 3 barbers in one building, it's the same occupancy, same classification of business, you won't need a firewall.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, you were telling me, well, my thing is, I don't quite understand. I understand what you just said, but that person or individual who owns that 3 spaces in that one building, they don't have to rent that building out forever and a day because they won't apply to what we're trying to pass.
Well, again, as long as, it's not that the building is vacant is the biggest issue, it's whether they're upkeeping that building. That's the issue.
So what about people that have building owners that have a business that are open right now, but they're not in code? They're not, let's say they got a busted out window or something of that nature. but-
That doesn't fall under this.
Okay.
That'd be in a different, that's in, make it
It's all
superior codes for that.
That's what now?
Make it superior codes for that. This is totally different. What this does do is if John Doe has a vacant building, he comes to register and he gives us a plan. He gets us in the building to see what's wrong. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes,
All right, so I reckon the question is, do we want to start downtown, or do we want to do it
One more thing,
citywide?
I'm trying to elaborate this too much. There's a fine imposed if you don't do something, correct?
there are fines, there are fines. First, you got the registration fee,
Okay.
which is, the initial registration fee is $200.
Okay.
A year from now, if it's still vacant, it's $500. A year from now, or 2 years from now, it's $500. 3 years from now, it's $1,000. 4 years for each year after that's $1,000. Plus, there's an additional $50 fee for us to inspect the building each year. Now, if you have a vacant building and you have not registered it in a timely manner as you should, we're going to charge you an administrative penalty of $500 in addition to the registration fee. Failure by the owner to submit a vacant building plan or comply with the vacant building plan approved by the city or pay fees as required, you're going to pay another administrative fee of $500. Also, there's a language in here that says acquisition of the property could be done by eminent domain in accordance with state law.
So
That's basically taking the building.
what if the building's in really good shape, but they just can't rent it?
Again, as long as it's in good shape, I don't think there's an issue.
But you still have to
You
register?
still have to register. That is fine. That is correct.
So it's a 50 every annual?
It's $200 in the
$250
registration,
every year.
and then $250 for that. $50 for the inspection. That is correct. That is correct.
Any other discussion?
Now, before you get too far here, the first one is the historic only, historic downtown,
Right.
which what y'all brought or requested last month to bring back as an amended.
To just be the historic.
Just be historic. If you pass that one, there's no
Reason to do the next.
the next one. If you don't pass this, then we'll go to the next one, which is citywide, which what we presented last month, but since it didn't pass, we have to start back first reading again if you vote on it this week.
But if it passes citywide,
And it includes the historic.
That's correct.
inclusive, yeah, but also you would have to notify the building owners,
Vacant building.
vacant building owners. And also they could attend this workshop if you're saying
Well, again, that's a little bit different.
it's going to apply to everybody.
Well, that is more, if you own a building and you want to renovate it, here's steps to do it. Not saying they can't come, but we want everybody to come. But this ordinance has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
If that makes sense. And just to give you an idea, there's roughly 58 empty buildings throughout the city.
Throughout the whole city.
Historic district is roughly.
I didn't
If we pass ordinance 2203, then we really don't need ordinance 2302.
Well, you got to go though in order. You
But I
got
feel like right here, you punishing the historical district, why you not doing something about the whole city? I mean, you gonna come in from 38, 34, number 9, 301, I mean, you still got buildings that you can work on.
Felt like
that's citywide.
our
Citywide,
biggest,
that's what I'm saying.
and
It just ain't coming down to Main Street.
the point's well taken. This is brought to the council by this downtown revitalization group. And I felt like we got a little pushback from going citywide. And if you want to revisit that, I'm in favor. We want to get something done. We want to try to push these people to fix their buildings downtown. This is our start. If you want to make it citywide, that doesn't mean we can't come back and do that.
We could vote for it tonight.
It's
Citywide, we still don't get to vote on both.
If the easiest way, and I'm reading the tea leaves.
Yeah, I know.
I'm reading the tea leaves. The easiest way would be if somebody makes a motion or doesn't make a motion, then you don't worry about
Right,
the first one. Or vice versa.
right.
But my thing is, how can you target uptown and not target the whole city? That's my thing. I mean, you just penalizing or you're punishing the uptown Main Street. If you're gonna do it, you would do it citywide. And I just hate to put more work on the code enforcement, but it's gonna put more work on them, but you just can't target uptown.
I think that's what we've done the first time,
Well,
citywide. It was
but-
citywide the first time.
You brought
Well,
citywide.
the vote on the first time citywide the
That's
first
why
time.
we said.
And then the next time, we changed it.
Let's see, we vote on, I mean.
Well,
that's-
from reading the tea leaves, from reading the tea leaves,
It sounds like it might be a citywide thing. Would be
okay, I'm just reading my tea leaves.
Well, let's see if we get a motion for just the historic district.
Can I get a motion?
Michelle, due to lack of motion.
Okay, in favor. So, we'll move on to citywide, enforcement of this code. Can I get a motion? 22-03.
I make a motion.
That's it.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, good. Ordinance 22-04, again Title 6, Chapter 5, Dangerous Animals.
All right,
Tell us about that.
This one we talked about for several months now, and the city attorney, myself, and Benny had met over it. We had incidents in the past where people were on private property and bit by dogs. And really didn't have anything covered in our ordinance to deal with being on private property and being bit by the dog that lives on that private property. So this now, from what we were dealing with, was they were considered guard dogs, and we do deal with guard dogs in our ordinance, but it dealt with signage and liability insurance. But I think now, if we are determining that guard dogs are vicious dogs, am I correct?
Well, actually, guard dogs.
Guard
is what I was
dogs,
asking.
okay, guard dogs, then you're required to have them confined in a fence, not an invisible fence, but an actual fence.
An above-ground fence. And so this would be an addition to the current requirement regarding guard dogs. When we've run into a problem before, as Glenn said, we've got a sign that says, or an ordinance that says you've got to have up a sign, beware of dogs, so forth. And you've got to have insurance coverage and provide proof. But it was brought to me, we'd also like fencing requirements. And what this actually does is breaks it down into 3 times. If the dog's in your house, you just got to restrain them so they cannot, quote, run outside freely, okay? If they're in your guard and have been identified as guard dogs, then they would need to be fenced. And if they're off of your property, they would need to be on a leash no longer than 7 feet and under the control of whoever's walking them.
Any questions, any other discussion? Can I get a motion?
Nothing but.
Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. All right, council member report, John?
Yes, sir. Going to ask about the retirement for the city employees, where we at?
Hadn't heard anything about the actuary. All the information is submitted.
Everything you have.
Police department, we up to staff now?
We have, one that stayed out of Cook Academy Friday, so there's one there to it.
2 of them. Okay, that's all I have.
All right. Jay?
I don't have anything.
Lisa, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very enjoying this.
She really is, and I have an opportunity to, I mean, most of the ribbon cuttings and all that, she's right there. We get the raise with her.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. All right, can I get a motion to go into executive session for personal and legal matters?